Hi. Today I'm going to talk about three of my favorite things, and they are three books. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Wynne Harwood, and for the past, more than 30 years, I have worked with parents to support them and to make this a better world for children and a better world for parents, better than I found it. And if you like this video, click subscribe down below. So the first book is a book by Alice Miller, and I'll hold it up so you can see it. And the subtitle, it's called For Your Own Good, and the subtitle is Hidden Cruelty in Child Rearing and the Roots of Violence. And I think this is a very important book for anyone who cares about the state of our world and about how our children are being treated in our world today. So Alice Miller was a psychoanalyst for over 20 years, and in 1979 decided to devote her time to writing. And a lot of her writing is about the impact of childhood and how children were treated with cruelty for their own good, and that is still going on today. And I think part of her motivation was, if you listen to clients talk about their childhood for over 20 years, and it's pretty hard if you're suffering from depression or anxiety, not to have to consider your childhood. That really did happen to me. Because in my early 30s, I got into a really difficult mental state where I felt it was a real burden, and I went for therapy, and that's where I learned that I had to deal with the matters in my childhood that were still causing me pain and suffering at that age as an adult. So, she has studied this, and she points out what I've always known is that childhood is, this is what I say, how I say it. I say childhood is the shortest time in a person's life, and it lasts forever. And even though I did work on my childhood, I did deal with the pain and suffering, I'm still recovering from that childhood. So that's, it just points to, how important the job of parents, how important that work is, and how we are with our children is so important, because they don't forget how it felt when they lived with us. It's not just about raising a child who behaves well. Far from it. What matters is, do the children feel safe when they're with us to express their feelings, and then they are able to behave better. Because when children don't feel well and they feel angry or scared, and they don't know how to express that because they're too young, then it's really hard for them to behave well. But that's when they need us to provide safety, not punishments like hurting and shaming and hitting. And so many times parents yell at their children, not because their children deserve it in any way, but because the parents are upset and because the child isn't doing what they want, but they don't know what to do with their feelings. And so, that points to my work. And so this book, of course, changed my life, and it changed my career. And I'm so grateful to Alice Miller. Then my second book is by Brendon Burchard, and it's High Performance Habits, How Extraordinary People Become That Way. Here's the book. And of course, Brendon Burchard is, one of the most well-known teachers, and he's taught millions of people about professional and personal development. He is one of my favorite authors and speakers. And, I really like the idea of developing habits. Ever since I came up with this idea, from reading, I'm an avid reader. I love to learn. And I realized that, by creating habits, I save energy. Not only do I save energy, but I feel more energized every day. So an example of one of the things I changed, not even before I read this book, but this book was more validation, and also it gave me new ideas. But by creating habits such as getting up early in the morning. So when my kids were young, I decided it would be really helpful to get up before everybody else. And so I get up at sunrise, and that's time to myself. And I love that, and I like to open the window and see the sunrise. And I meditate, and I read, and I exercise. So I really take care of myself, and I feel really energized for the rest of the day. I don't have any nagging concerns that I'm not exercising. And so I can really be present at each moment, you know. So when I was preparing for this video, for example, I was very mindful and present to what I was doing, so then I do it more efficiently and save energy. And that's how it goes. So I love creating habits because it saves energy and it energizes. It saves my brain energy. I don't have to think so much. And the last book is by Laura Markham. Oh, this book, I love. This book really was great. And I just finished reading it pretty well. And it's 168 hours. Can you see? I'll hold it up closer. Let's see if we can get it in focus. So 168 hours by Laura Vanderkam. And so she totally destroys the myth of that we're in a time crunch, that we don't have time to do this. Well, I just don't have time, you know, and I feel like I never have enough time to do anything. Well, you read this book and you pretty soon see that it's a myth. It's not true at all. It just blew me away. And, you know, so I went to her website, and this is what she does, and this is what I'm doing now. And it is recording what I do every day. So this is last week's. And I do it by the half hour. She has these sheets, as I say, on her website, and some of them are every 15-minute increments. So I decided just to go with every half hour. And oh my, it's like living your life hour by hour instead of day by day. And it really makes you aware of time, and it is energizing as well, because, you know, I'm not tired because I'm preoccupied about something I have to do in an hour, because I know I'm going to do it in an hour, and I know that if I focus on what I'm doing at 2 o'clock, then it'll take less time than if I'm thinking about what I need to do at 3 o'clock at 2 o'clock, if you know what I mean. And, you know, when you keep track of it like this, you get to see what you're spending time at. And if you would, you know, if you'd really rather, you know, spend time on other things, then you'll find time on this chart where you could have done that. And now you can do it next week. And so this is what she says, okay? I bookmarked it to read it to you. It's just a short little piece. She says, while many of us claim to have no time for exercise, when you add the numbers up, you can see that this isn't true. If you work 50 hours a week, sleep 8 hours a night, and spend 3 hours per day, 21 total hours, tending to and interacting with your children, this leaves 41 hours floating around that week. And, you know, in that time, you can easily log the 2.5 hours of exercise our government's medical researchers say we need, for example. And you can put in other things. So it really, it is just wonderful, because, you know, you're really conscious of hour by hour. You're mindful of what you're doing hour by hour. And then when you look at it after, you're like, I think I'm going to change this part, you know, and you just get better at how you live your life. It's really terrific. I really, really encourage people, if you're interested in tracking your time and knowing what you're doing hour by hour, and you want to feel like you have time for everything, then this is a really good book. So I'm so happy that I could share this with you, and I'm glad that you're here, and I'll see you next time.